Hey guys, Brian with VetteSource here, checking in this evening. Tonight what I'm going to feature for you real quick is give you a little bit of a brief overview of this new old stock part and a little bit of a historical lesson on airbags here, especially as they pertain to the Corvettes. So for those of you not old enough to remember, cars, of course all cars nowadays have multiple airbags, of course driver, passenger, side impact, on the seats, things like that. But little to be known fact is that airbags really were in their infancy in the very, very late 80s and the early 90s. In fact, most cars did not even become with an airbag until 1990. I think there were a few 1989 models that may have had airbags, but the advent of airbags began in 1990. Corvettes also in that crowd as well. So in 1990, Corvette started with an airbag, and they actually most cars only had one airbag on the driver's side. The passenger was not necessary as far as they were concerned to have an airbag until I think federal regulations started to make them, force them to actually include an airbag for the passenger side. So some of these early airbags you'll see are quite simplistic compared to some of the later ones they've developed over the last 25 years. And if you've never seen an airbag up close, essentially what it is this is a bag right here. Okay, you can kind of see it folded up. It's aged a little bit, but that's just from sitting on the shelf. This is a new old stock bag that's never been used, but the bag is folded in a special way, and right here, this back panel here, this mechanism, this is a charging mechanism. It actually has an explosive in it, a light explosive. That's why they tell you do not put power to an airbag while you're working on it or being around it or messing with it, because it can explode. And the early airbags are known for some of the explosive force of the airbags was enough to kill young children. A couple of young children were actually killed over the years from airbag explosions, which is a tragedy. That's what started the whole process of the weighted seat in passenger sides to determine if a passenger was strong enough to handle an airbag, if an airbag actually went off in a low-speed crash or something like that. So this would be basically a second generation Corvette airbag. This is the one that started in 1994. 1990 was the first year Corvettes had a new kind of a wraparound interior. They kind of replaced that Atari-style interior from 84 to 89. So 90 through 93 had the first gen, is what I call it, of the wraparound jet cockpit fighter interior, which is kind of like what that 92 convertible rebuilder I have that I'm working on has in it. And then 94 through 96 had the second generation of that jet fighter cockpit, but they got rid of the side panel. It runs along the side and kind of insulates the driver, kind of separates the driver from the passenger. So this airbag would have been your driver's side airbag. You can see the Corvette logo is actually stamped, embossed into the leather, not leather, but this is a vinyl cover. And you can see where there's a split line here, and that's done to blow the bag out as it inflates in the milliseconds as it explodes. And of course the airbags have to be marked that they're an airbag so people know that they're in there. So this would be the second generation when they got in. This is just one that was never used before, never even put on a car. So I've had this in inventory for quite a while. You can actually see the GM part number there, 1675-2391. I don't think the date code's on this one, but this would have been like a late, I think this was a 96 if I remember correctly. So these are becoming more challenging to come by in fairly decent shape as the cars get older, and then sometimes they just don't function anymore. So they're kind of in there simply as a matter of cosmetics, because without these in, it's a very big noticeable flaw if they're not sitting inside of there. So thought I'd just bring that to you, show you kind of a cool piece of Corvette automobile history in and of itself, from something from the Wayback Machine in the early 90s that a lot of people don't think about nowadays and just take for granted because they're always there. So tomorrow night I'll probably be back with a few more updates on some of the other parts I have. I may actually do some strip down of some cars tomorrow that I'll be cataloging for you guys and showing you how I do this. But I appreciate everybody for checking in tonight, and we'll check back in tomorrow, see what's going on. Thanks again, guys.